Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at tutorial number 4 of our 2023 December Advent Calendar Countdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to build custom oak trees. Yesterday we took a look at a tutorial for this small automatic flower farm build here, and it was surrounded by these custom oak trees. There are two different variations. I have a bit of a larger one, and then there's this version, which I call a medium oak tree. Now, of course, people can build bigger and or smaller ones, whatever you want, whatever fits your needs. But I'm just going to be showing my techniques and strategies for constructing these different oak trees, because even though they're different sizes, in their core, they use the exact same techniques and strategies. Also, if you are curious on how to build this small automatic flower farm design, I will link it down in the description of this video, and you can go check that out after this episode. Alright, so when it comes to constructing these custom trees, I used flowering azalea leaves, and oak leaves. Now the oak leaves are a lot darker. They just add that contrast of color, and the flowering ones just add a little bit of extra detail. Now, of course, I use the oak logs or the oak tree. As you see on the larger ones, I have a bit of a reinforced trunk. Nothing much, just a stair and then a slab on top of another log. Now, if the tree is a bit of a larger tree, I like to do stuff like that, reinforcing the base, because I think it adds some realism to the tree. Because if the tree is just that large, it needs extra support to stop it from falling over. When it comes to constructing these trees, of course, the first thing you have to decide is the height. How wide do I want this tree to be? How tall do I want it to be? How do I want it to fill the space? So right here, we're going to go for a decently large one. We're going to have our trunk. I don't like it right there, actually. Let's put our trunk. I think we're going to put our trunk right here, and we're going to try and have it grow that way and just kind of fill in this area here, and then a little bit in this back area. And another really good strategy is, rather than starting with your wood, just start with dirt. Take out some dirt and just build. Take your dirt, just try and figure out where you want this tree to go, and work on filling out that space. And as you get this tree going, you can then go ahead and fill in the leaves and stuff, but a good strategy is just to start with some dirt and start playing with your tree trunk. See what you can get to look good. See if you get that shape on the branches that you like. Sometimes when you start with the logs, it becomes very real and intimidating. Just starting with dirt helps you get that shape. So we're just going to go ahead and get that shape. Don't try and completely clutter in the area. I know that you're going to want probably some branches in this sort of area, but smaller branches. Don't worry about those right now. Right now, we're just trying to get the core center feeling of our tree down. And I think I'm very pleased with this tree shape. A little bit of an X, but that's all right. So now once we have this dirt in, we're going to go ahead and replace all of the dirt with our logs. Now, when you're doing this, I recommend you put a block underneath each dirt that you already have there, and then put the log on top of that bottom dirt that you just placed. This way you get the log facing the right direction. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some weird-looking shapes. And of course, you might want to make some little changes along the way, but this is generally good. I like this. Now that we have this in place, imagine where you want the leaves to fill. I imagine that I want leaves in these areas here, where there aren't really any branches. So for this area, being the largest one, I'm going to grab some of my fence posts, and I'm just going to make some diagonals, just going down and filling in this area a little bit. Imagine that the fence posts are like the thin, weak branches on the trees, you know? The ones that are really easy to break off, while the logs are the thick parts of the trees that have been there for a while. Once you just kind of get some small little branches in, you can start to see how this might work. And if you want little areas where you just have like a really small branch, you can take a fence gate, you can place it in, and then you can open it. And maybe not there, but maybe if we went here, now it looks like there's two tiny branches just kind of hanging off. And of course, if you wanted, you could put your fence post here and have it going up. I prefer to have it going down I just think that makes a bit more sense, but sometimes ones that are going up look pretty cool as well. All right, now we have our logs in, we have our branches in. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this dirt from my inventory. Now we can start with our leaves. So what I like to do is I like to grab the azalea leaves and just dot some around wherever I'm starting, just kind of cover some random spots. Then I will grab my azalea leaves and I'll just add in, again, just randomly placing them, not really having any structure to what I'm doing, just trying to fill in the space a bit. And then once I have this, I'll really start looking at it and thinking a bit more in depth of what I want this to look like. So here, I'm thinking maybe remove that and have one go up a little bit, add an oak leaf there. Adding these little air pockets really adds some depth to the tree. It just kind of adds an illusion of texture and a more puffier tree. And now I'll start dotting around some of my oak leaves. Now when it comes to my oak leaves, I really like making little patches of these darker leaves, like there's a shadow or something casting over the tree. And the flowering, I'll just randomly dot around everywhere, but I like to make the azalea leaves the main focus of the tree. Like that is the main color on the tree. That is the main focus. That is what this tree is made of, really. And sometimes it does get a little tricky trying to make these air pockets like this. And that's where the different colors of leaves can become handy, because these air pockets, maybe it doesn't look right like this, but I can add that and it looks a bit better. So the different colors also can be used to make the illusion of these air pockets, even though there might not actually be anything there. Like here, I could try and do that, but now it doesn't look very good. So what I'd want to do is put that there, but with this color here, it looks pretty stupid. So now it looks a bit more puffy, a bit more realistic. And I just try and do this throughout the whole tree, trying to add that texture and illusion of texture, even where there isn't actually any difference in the blocks. In terms of my tips, that's pretty much it. I just like to use these different colors, really try to add that illusion, even if there isn't any actual change, and then just fill out the tree as best as you can, making things look very puffy, very filled in, and just very unique. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys me filling out the rest of this tree in a very speedy manner, and then we're going to take a bit of a more in-depth look at it at the end, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I use these strategies. Alright, so it's been about 10 more minutes of me just randomly flying around and placing in the leaves. And as I'm sure you saw, a lot of the areas, I just kind of place some blocks that are floating like this. For instance, I think a very good example is right here. Right here, there's a lot of leaves that are just kind of floating. They're not even connected to a piece of wood, really. But because these two leaves, this oak one and this flowering azalea one, are technically right next to the fence, the rest of these just kind of fill in the area. Even though they're not actually touching anything, they kind of give an illusion that they are, and they add that puffiness feeling to the tree, which is a lot of what I was talking about earlier. Another good example is using the oak leaves to make the illusion of certain areas being darker. For instance, in here in the middle of this tree, these are oak leaves right next to the logs, and then above them I have these azalea leaves, and they add this illusion that that is a darker shadowed part of the tree, adding more depth and just realness to the tree. I keep flying into these other ones around me. Now, from the top, as you can see, this is a very large tree, but I left a lot of different logs exposed, lots of fences exposed. Not every part of a tree is alive. Certain trees, maybe it's just coming into season. Maybe that branch of the tree has been killed, but not covering everything adds that illusion. And this effect that I've done here, where it's like there's plenty of just floating leaves, I have all these different air gaps, it makes the tree feel so much fuller, even though there's less leaves there. If I just densely packed everything like a normal Minecraft tree over here, it just kind of feels like a blob. It doesn't really feel very flowy or realistic, You want to add the illusion that maybe a squirrel or a bird can fly into this tree and land somewhere. Maybe a gust of wind can blow through the tree and make everything move. It's really the subtle details when it comes to making custom trees, but you have to admit, even though this tree took definitely a lot longer than just bone mealing a sapling, look at the difference between a tree like this and a tree like this. There's a huge difference, and if you don't get it right away, it took me multiple tries. Don't hurt yourselves if it doesn't turn out perfect, but you'll get there eventually. So if you have enjoyed, please consider smashing that subscribe button and maybe sharing this video around to some friends that would like to learn how to build trees like this as well. And of course, you should come back tomorrow because there will be yet another tutorial for the 2023 December Advent Calendar Countdown. Anyways, this has been Mr. Gaming Aquatic, and I'll see you next time. Peace!